All right, I was out and I saw a couple cucumbers and decided why not come out and get the basket and do some harvesting. So we're gonna get some stuff, and I'm gonna show you a couple things that's going on in my garden that may or may not be the best thing in the world, but you know, it is what it is. It's that time of year and it's really hard on the garden right now. So even though we did have some wilt issues on this green bean trellis, we're going to I think we're just gonna let it grow. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna put some beans below, but I do wanna harvest a couple. We've been seeing, like I just came out and noticed, which means I've missed them. They're starting to get a little big, so we're gonna be getting handfuls of beans for right now. When they start getting lumpy like this, I don't like to can them. And anything that's like got bad pollination like this, I see, you can now see. These we don't can either. And lumpy like this, we don't usually can, so we'll eat these fresh, even though I don't particularly care for them fresh. So I already got our cucumbers, but we got another squash beetle, so we just stay on top of them. And I'll show you the cucumbers we got. These are the cucumbers we got earlier. These are our Boston pickling. This one just about got away from me, but all these are in good shape. It'll be good to eat. Now our favorite way to eat cucumbers is a little bit of salt, a little bit of pepper, freshly sliced, and it's just something totally special about that. So yeah. Now we come over here to the wild garden. We've got, I got greenhead flies on me, chewing me up. We got all of our peppers, and we actually haven't harvested any peppers yet. And we have our basil, and I do need to trim it, and I'll show you why we're trimming it and what the kind of objective is behind it. So all of this is good to go. We have plenty of basil. We don't even need to trim it. But you see how it's like got these little sub leaves under it? So what we want to do is I want this to be more bushy. And right now it's gonna start trying to bolt. And you can see right here how it's starting to stack up its leaves. That means it wants to bolt. Truth be told, this year I actually do want these to bolt, but for right now, I want them to split. And the reason why I want them to bolt is so our bees can have some pollen from these and be able to feed themselves going up in the winter to get stronger. But for right now, I want them, what good is that gonna do me if I have one flower stalk when I can have 15 or 20? Because everywhere that I trim, like if I trimmed here, all of these subleaves are gonna branch out now. And it's gonna be more bushy. So we're just gonna continue to trim this up a little bit, not taking a whole lot off. And I mean, you know, if you cook a meal, this stuff is so pungent, you don't need that much. So now we're gonna move on to our lipstick peppers and all the other peppers, and I'll try and remember which variety is and call them out to you. And I'm pretty happy the way these things are developing. They did a lot better than last year. And I don't know if it's what we did with the soil or what, but it's working out really good. And we're just about like, it's gonna be like 93, 94 degrees here. And even though peppers do like heat, I mean, nothing likes that much heat. So I wanted to go ahead and get everything off to relieve the stress off the plant so that it can still recover. I can keep it cool, and then it can start to grow again, because we're actually about to feed these beds again, and I wanna give them another push. If I can step in the vines here very carefully. So this right here is a lipstick pepper. Let's see, I'll show you, based on the coloration. If I can get it off, yeah. So it's nice and green, but see that right there? It's starting to blush. I think that's gonna be good enough. A couple days and it'll turn a different color, maybe a little bit more yellow, and then we can eat it. So this is a lot bigger than last year. And these are our cherry peppers. Now they haven't turned red really yet. This one's starting to turn red. So we're gonna go ahead and take a couple of these just to try and get the plant to keep going, because I don't really see a whole lot of flowers on them either, which is a little bit alarming, but I think we're gonna be okay. But I can see that they're starting to cork, and these aren't hot at all, but they're nice and sweet. So we'll pull these off and just eat them. If you have a hot pepper and it starts to cork, which is this striation right here, that means that it is going to be hot. But this is a sweet pepper, so I'm not really overly concerned about it being hot at all. I've had them corked and they don't really do anything. Here's our jalapenos. I got a couple the other day. And this one looks all right. I think I'm gonna leave it. But just going down the line, our cayenne peppers, I actually do wait for these to get pretty red before I pull them, and I'm not even concerned about harvesting them. But these are gonna be plenty hot and they just peel right off. So we're gonna get as many as we can off these. I need to try and make a couple jars. You know, it's funny, just coming out here every day and getting a handful of vegetables, it goes a long way with your grocery bill. It's insane. And we don't ever buy jalapenos from the store fresh, but because of the couple plants that we grow every year, I can them and I'll eat them fresh throughout the season, but we don't ever have to buy those either, and I eat them a lot. So kind of works out pretty good in our favor. But let's see if we can get another one or two. Eggplant, this is our first one, so we'll go ahead and take it. And I can see that it's leaving a little indentation on there, so I think it's just about ready. She's tough. But yeah, that's a pretty good size. And now I've tried to grow the big black beauty eggplants and stuff like that. They don't ever do very good for me. I never get them big enough to harvest, so I like to grow the small ones. Plus, we don't really eat that many eggplants. So if we cooked a dinner and we had 2 of these, we'd be plenty, versus another one, we kind of have to force ourselves to eat it. So I see some peppers right over there that we definitely want, but I also see some tomatoes. And these tomatoes have definitely started ripening fast now. It is that time of year for the determinants. So remember I told you that we were going to be getting disease? Welcome to the disease factory. I called it perfectly. So this is a leaf spot of some sort. We could treat it, but I think I'm just gonna leave it. And I mean, these are gonna be almost done soon, so I'm not really concerned. I'm gonna keep an eye out and see if I see any more flowers coming up on them, but as of right now, I don't see a whole lot of flowers, so I don't see any need to go crazy treating. But we will be treating some soon. But yeah, all that rain we got, and we got a real heavy rain last night, which is why I wanted to come out here. It's caused the disease to start to set in. Humidity and rain are your worst enemies when it comes to a lot of your summer vegetables, let me just tell you. So when I was out here yesterday, I picked a couple of tomatoes. None of them are red. Now look at this. Look at these. And so I wanted to pull these because with the amount of rain we got last night, we got like a real quick dump. I don't want them to burst and get ruined. So we'll go ahead and get them, let them finish up in the house. And then probably gonna end up canning these. I canned 3 cans of these last night. These are all Roma tomatoes. We like canning these. Look at this. Another 3. And this. And this. And this. 1. That's not bad. That's about what we're getting every day right now. But this will die off as soon as these determinants give out on us, which they're not far from. Look at that garden spider. Back to the lipstick peppers. This is about what we got last year, this size. Come on. That's about what we got last year, which I'm still happy with that. They're nice and sweet, real sweet actually. Well, this is exciting. What do we have here? It looks like we have our first, cantaloupe. So we've got our first cantaloupe growing too. Watermelon, cantaloupe. Now that's a beautiful thing. So I want to come over here and check the squashes. They're just about done, but we'll see. And see what we can get out of here. I know I've got a zucchini, which is ready to go, which is awesome. This is the Desi squash, and we've got a bunch of them going on this plant, so. Get some more of these. These are really good. Loving that. Now this one right here, I'm actually gonna leave it and let it go all the way to seed and ripen fully. And the reason why is because that plant's doing so well that I want to make sure that I save the genetics from it. and grow it year after year after year. So we're just gonna leave that one squash there and let's let it ripen itself out and basically turn to where it's inedible, and then we'll be able to scoop the seeds out and save it. But let's see what else we got. Check out this zucchini here. Yeah, we had a bunch of rain last night, like I said, so I think this zucchini's ready to go. Not bad, not bad. Okay, I had to stop what I was doing. It got a little warm out. It's late in the afternoon and the sun is just beating on the garden right now. It's the hottest part of the day for the actual garden itself. So I came in the shade, but anyways, I do want to kind of talk about harvesting and planting schedule a bit, because, you know, it's a damn shame that we get right now, I mean, we're getting handfuls of this at a time. Whoops, didn't mean that to happen. Handfuls of this at a time, and yeah, it's funny because the squash plants they're wrapping up at this point and they're getting done. And you know, the way we eat is we practice seasonal eating, which is rotational. So as things come into season, we'll eat them, and we'll eat a lot of it. So like, we've been eating a lot of squash, a lot of zucchini. We're starting to eat more cucumbers, and we're really eating tomatoes now. Well, I'm canning tomatoes. My wife eats them, but I'm canning most of them for right now. And it's a shame because I look over at the garden and I'm kind of thinking, I'll give you the view from where I am. So I'm on the back side of my trellis in the shade, but if you can see over here, that bed is just basically, it's really struggling right now. The squashes are just riddled with diseases and they're just kind of given up to, at this point. We're getting more squash, but it's also starting to slow down. So we're gonna have to pull them soon. And as much as I want to start more squash and zucchini and stuff like that, I'm debating on whether or not to do it, because the way I'm looking at it right now is if I can get enough in and get them coming, then we can start stockpiling a little bit in our refrigerator, because like these desi squash, they hold in the fridge for about a week or so. They'll hold pretty good. So we'll be able to eat through those and space them out a little bit. And as much as we like to eat diverse meals throughout the week, you know, I don't want to eat squash 3 times a week. You know, I like to kind of go in between. But if you think about it, like today, we got our first little eggplant. So this is like the next phase of summer eating, not to mention that. And then we've got our peppers. So, you know, these also will start our next phase of eating into more. So we go from eating squash and zucchinis and tomatoes, and we'll be eating tomatoes throughout the summer, but then we'll go more into peppers and eggplants. And I'm looking around trying to think, we might get some corn. Video coming on that soon. You know, we've been eating a lot of carrots and stuff like that, but what I didn't show you is we got a number of these guys, these husk tomatoes, better known as farm crack. We eat those all the time. And so we're really struggling and hoping to kind of keep those producing at all costs. Like no matter what, keep those producing to the point to where I may actually take some more cuttings and start to root them so we can keep them going. And that seems to me to be the easiest way for me to succession plant, because to be totally honest, by the time it gets to be summer, I've gone through winter and I've been seeding and seeding and seeding and hardening off from taking care of seedlings. And now we're already starting our fall plants. So we're trying to get those set up too. It's hard to remember in my head, like, okay, set up some squash plants. And this year we fared pretty good with the squash vine borer. I mean, here we are in the beginning of July. And yeah, I saw one plant that was like exhibiting symptoms, but for the most part, everything else just kind of died out. So that being said, like I really wish I could take cuttings from a squash plant and keep it producing. And I'm gonna see how long I can go, but I think the best bet would be is to pull that squash up just like the other bed with the Brussels sprouts and let it rest just for a little bit, let it rejuvenate and feed it and keep it going so that we can go ahead and get a good fall crop planted. I think that's going to be the best bet for us. And that's where this monocropping's really worked out well for me, at least so far in my head, because I have that ability. Because before, where I would have like a squash and a tomato and, you know, a bush green beans and all that stuff, like I pull a squash up and then there wouldn't be enough of an area to plant something else in. So I'd have to let stuff keep growing, and I don't really want to do that. I don't know about you guys, but I just ate my last cabbage and I want this bed to be filled with cabbage in about a month of all starts so that we can just have a banger year of cabbage. So I think it's going to be the best bet. But harvesting and then timing everything out so you can grow it better and prolong those harvests so you can get a diversity is really, to me, like the coup de grace of gardening, to where you can really get everything set up and then just enjoy all these crops real time throughout the summer and have a totally diverse diet and not depend on pulling stuff up and gorging yourself at one point and then moving on to the next thing and gorging yourself on that until you're just absolutely sick of it and you never want to see it again.
Goodbye.